on Thursday, December 10th, 2020 at 5:34 p.m. In accordance with Governor Raimondo Executive Order 20-103 dated December 8th, 2020, the Cumberland School Committee intends to conduct this meeting remotely. The public can participate in this meeting remotely, but not in person by calling the area code 312-626-6799. The webinar ID is 978-9362-7023, or you can join us on the Zoom software program by going to the Cumberland School Department events calendar website, and you'll find the details how to come in here live on the Zoom program. The passcode is 740316. Thank you. All right, so we need an approval of the agenda, compliance with the governor's order. I do see members of the school committee signing in. I see Shauna Spillane is here as well from the public. So I believe we have certainly have access for the public to attend our meeting. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Dennis to approve.
I'll second.
Second by Carrie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it 7-0. I'm sorry, 3-0. All right, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from November 19, 2020. I know that some of the Carrie, you weren't part of that meeting, but we can approve the minutes from the previous school committee fiscal meeting. So I need a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Collins. Second by
I'll
Carrie.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have it 3-0. Thank you. Next is payment of the bills. We have payment of the bills that are in our drive. The amount is $722,350.18. Does anyone have any questions in regards to the payment of bills? Mr. Collins, no questions? Carrie, no questions? Okay. Need a motion to approve the payment of bills in the amount of $722,350.18.
I'll motion to approve.
Carrie makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Dennis Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it 3-0. Next is the business office monthly report. Alex, can you hear us now? You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Okay.
I finally got in. Yeah, I figured tonight I had finished the budget report through November, and I would spend a few minutes on that. So for those who haven't seen this report in the past, new members of the committee, I do this report each month, and in order to track where we stand on the budget, we look, I update it every few weeks in areas where I have to, where I think we're vulnerable. But we produce it once a month, and we send it. I also send it to the mayor. I share it with the mayor. He's very interested in school finances as well. So, if you look at the report, the first page is the revenues of the school department, and you see the first column budget. The $74,548,000 is our budget this year. The next column is what we've collected in those various categories through November. The third column is simply what I project the rest of the way. And then the fourth column is a variance. Now, at this time, you see very little variances because it's a little early to know exactly where our Medicaid reimbursement will be for the year, and rentals and some of those type of things. I have noted the fourth line item down, schoolmaster lease, a shortfall right now of $518,000. When we amended our budget, maybe a couple of months ago now, that we, in order to balance the budget, when we added money for, a lot of the COVID items that we expected, substitutes, et cetera, we pulled the technology items, or at least offset the technology items still appear in the line items in the budget, but we did this offset of school master lease to pay for them. And as of now, we haven't yet issued that lease. I talk with the mayor about it every couple of days, and he's aware of it, and we need the town's help to do it. And he supports it. He supports it. It's just hasn't yet happened, but it will. That will eliminate that issue. The items below, like I said, I'm only showing a couple items right now. The $148,000, that's on the CTE tuitions. We had like 40-something students come in. Many of them from Woonsocket, where we used an estimate of between $13,000 and $15,000 a student, $15,000 mostly. The Woonsocket reimbursement, which is like 3/4 of the kids, they only reimburse at about $11,000 based on their PPE and core expenditures and things that RIDE calculates in that reimbursement. So
I just jump in here for 1 second, Alex, please,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, if
Go
I
ahead.
may. All right, yeah, just for the new members of the committee, I mean, we're going to be throwing a lot of stuff at you that probably and I don't want to insult your intelligence, by stating that you might not know what the heck we're talking about, but just so that you all know, the CTE tuitions that Alex is referring to, we established a number of pathways a couple of years ago. We actually created a position, director of pathways. So we have these programs that are very industry focused, like information technology. There are STEM related pathways. So there are another one is public safety. Public safety is another one. So the reason I bring that up is because of these pathways that we have created, we have students from outside of the district that have an interest in these pathways, and they pay a tuition to come to us. So that is revenue that we are generating. Now, ideally, we want to be in a position where we can take that money and reinvest it into these pathways. That's what other districts are doing. But the good news is there are several students clearly that want to take advantage of this opportunity. But the most important thing is not, to me, is not generating revenue. What we don't want is we don't want to lose our own students to go to another school to take advantage of something that they have an interest in. So the good news is we're keeping our students, and we are, because of the good work that's been done at the high school by Heather Delfino and the other high school administrators, we have a lot of interest. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to let the new members know in more detail how that line item appears.
Sure.
Thank you, Alex.
Alex, I got a question
Okay.
for you in regards to the, the tuition. I know you just mentioned that when soccer pays less money because of their student. When we send the kids over to the career center, and I believe we have a few there, is it the same way, or are we paying their tuition rate for those kids to come?
Yeah, no, they bill us what it costs them to educate the child.
You were broken up there. So they bill us there. Go ahead.
They pay us a rate that it costs them to educate for our child our student to attend there.
Okay. All right.
We have, and we got it after our budget was passed, but there's actually a sheet that RIDE puts out that tells you what each community will pay for a CTE student,
Right.
going out of district. So,
Okay.
down below, you see a lot of zeros at this time. These are all which will probably will definitely cause some budget stress next year. A lot of these are the one-time revenues that we budgeted this year to get through the budget. The $125,000, the $300 for medical, $1,340,000. That was for COVID and ESSA money that we're going to receive. ESSA is a money that's coming from the federal government for COVID relief. Basically, what happened last year, the state of Rhode Island took $533,000 of state aid from us in the last month of the year. So that state aid that's come in, that federal aid that's coming in, the state is allowing school departments to use that money to replace the state aid that was taken last year. So that $533,000, when it comes in, will bring our surplus up from what it was without the state aid, and we're simply rolling that money into this year as a one-time revenue to help balance the budget that we have before us. And then the last piece, that $575,000 is part of our regular undesignated surplus that we used. And I don't know if we want to at some point have a discussion on fund balance and designated fund, how it's categorized. After that, the next page is all the rest of the pages of the various departments, schools and departments throughout the district. The salary accounts right now, some of them show an overspending, some of them positive balances. I think some of that is as much due to things like leave of absences and people that have budgeted at one school but have since been transferred to another at the job pools and stuff at the end of the year. What we'll do is we'll continue to monitor those salaries. If they don't start to come more in line, we will look into transfer some of the money to the schools that need it.
Right.
We go to page 7. That's where the departments start. The first one, the special education department at the top of the page. And I'm showing no variances there right now, but you'll notice under tuitions, there's a large positive balance right now, $315,000. Now, some of that will go during the year as kids come in and the kids that need to be, need to go to private placements. But right now, it looks like hopefully that $315,000 would mean we wouldn't overspend the account. That's one of the line items we have sometimes little control of and can be very expensive. So right now, we look like we're in pretty good shape there.
Mr. Chairman,
moving
Mr.
down.
Chairman, Alex,
Mr.
excuse me
Mitchell.
for 1 second. And forgive me, Alex, for interrupting because I know you're on a roll. And again, I think for the new members, it's important to know that one of the areas that's really difficult for us to budget is special education, because we have students, we have in-district students that may have some sort of a need that we cannot accommodate, and we have to send them out. And when you actually get a chance to see how much it costs to educate someone outside of the district, it is unbelievable. I mean, it's more than what it costs to go to Harvard a lot of times. So and so not only does that happen, but generally that's less of an issue. The bigger issue is when, and because we do such a good job with special ed, there are families that move into the district and the children have pretty significant needs and we do a good job of addressing many of these intensive needs that students have in district, but there are times when we need to send them out, and that's where the unexpected cost comes into play. So I think Dr. Rachel Santa has done a really good job of managing the budget and anticipating things. But we actually had a conversation today where, she said that she's concerned because she has a couple of students coming in with some pretty significant needs that may put us in a position where we have to do an out of district placement. So I just wanted to provide a little more information. Thank you, Alex. Didn't mean to interrupt your flow. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, that's fine. I
Actually,
just want to say on that issue
I
with
just-
Mr. Mitchell, that a few years ago for our new members, Dr. Santa had about 15 people in the special ed department take a summer course that allowed us to bring in a lot of the placements that we had sent outside the district. We were able to bring them in, for little, some money in regards to the cost to run the summer program. But like Mr. Mitchell says, Dr. Santa did a great job of, bringing people in and trying to keep the children in-house versus sending them out of the district. All right, Alex, go ahead. Thank you.
Dennis had a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm noticing, I just have a question, kind of a carryover question from last school year. The homeless and other budget for Durham, it looks like it's budgeted 30,000. We haven't spent any money. Does that mean we've addressed that issue of transportation we have? I mean, obviously we had that scenario last fall and winter in which, kids from Fall River were being or Newport would be transporting up here every day. And that was kind of a budget constraint. Has that been rectified?
No, it hasn't. It's a lot of that is in that statewide number that you see, the over 420.
All right.
The over expenditure is 420 because we're using statewide. We're not using Durham to transport those students.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now I see it.
So I'll be there. I'll be on that page in a second. So moving down, I'll just point out, that we got two pots of COVID money this year. The ESSA money that I mentioned that replaced state aid from last year basically came with no strings attached. You could use it to offset any expenditure you had in last year's budget from when schools closed to June 30th. So what we did is we used the $530,000 to reduce tuitions with charter schools, just because it was one area was easy, easy for RIDE to see the expense and send us our money. And we now have received that money. We received both parts of the COVID money. We've received the $636,001 and the $533,000 for ESSA. But in that 636, those are for expenditures this year. They has to be spent by December 31st, unless they made a change in this recently, unless you have some type of contract or something in place where, goods or something haven't been delivered for whatever reason. So one of those areas would be Chromebooks for us, right? We've got Chromebooks on order, but yet they haven't been able to be delivered yet. So, so that 636 is broken down. We've used it for Chromebooks. I've used a portion of it to pay for apps and things that we've had to buy for distance learning. And one of those areas is that you see the assistant superintendent's budget right here, almost at the end of the page. That virtual learning number of budgeted 138, we're actually spending 106. We're going to have a $32,000 left. It's not that it came in cheap, but 32,000 of that I've been able to push into, the cost of the programs for September, October, November, December into that COVID grant. So, that's how we're using that money. The next page, technology at the top of the page, you see that large $654,000. That's basically for most all of that's for Chromebooks. There is some money in there for servers that getting old in the district, and that Mike and his staff are keeping together for us. But we need to start replacing. We replaced one server a year ago. There's probably, I think, 9 others that really should be replaced, and this goal would give us replace 4 or 5 this year if we're able to do it. We have the money here allocated to spend. But if if we don't do the lease, we'd have that $518,000 shortfall. So that basically, that $518,000 lease is paying for a portion of the $654,000 of supplies. I wanted to budget the expenditure so that when we do buy them, it'll show on our books that we did purchase this type of stuff. So also in that, besides the Chromebooks servers, and there's also money for the upgrading the Wi-Fi in the district. I think we need about $65,000. I think, and that's a percentage of it as that we'll pay. Moving down the page, you see the debt service of $520,000. That's a master lease that the town paid what I suggest at the end of the year is the town give us money and it's budgeted on our front page. You'll see a $520,000. It's in the local town maintenance of effort money, non-maintenance of effort. That $520,000 is a lease that the town pays that if when they give us the money, I'll repay them for the lease just once again. So the lease gets reflected on our books. We want to reflect it on our books because it's capital items that we're purchasing. Right now, with UCO and whatever, if without that being booked, we run a report they'd say that, Cumberland and all the things we bought sit on the town's books and not ours. So
Okay.
that's just a in and out with a revenue. That's what the cost of those 2 or 3 leases that they're still paying for us are. The facilities budget, $200,000 there under materials and supplies. We've got quite a bit of money budgeted for PPE, et cetera. We spent over $36,000. So there's some money left there. I don't know what we'll spend going forward. As of now, we're still in pretty good shape with supplies because Will hasn't come to me or I haven't heard anything from any of the principals saying, gee, I need more of this or more of that. So we laid a lot of that into that $636,000 once, because those supplies, many of them were obviously for COVID related, cleaning, et cetera.
Okay.
And then the last page is where you'll see transportation, that what Dennis was talking about. You see the minus $420,000. We've been told that we're going to spend $1,190,000 in that account this year by ride based on who they're transporting. What they did is they had 150 routes last year, and because of COVID, they have increased that number to 349 routes. And so it's exploded because of the number of kids they can put on a bus. They actually lost one of their Rhode Island vendors, and they've hired a company out of Connecticut to help them. And they're actually putting up some of the drivers at night at hotels so that they're available to drive buses. And that's all being pushed out onto the districts. The $225,000 negative money there. 100,000 is I reduced the budget in order to, when we were passing the budget by $100,000, figuring that there would be days when buses wouldn't run, virtual days or whatever. And so that $100,000 was taken out of the budget. You can see it in the budget line item. The $125,000 represents through November what we would pay Durham if, and we're going to talk about this in executive session, I believe the next school committee meeting, if we accepted their offer of paying 45% for their fixed costs for buses that aren't running. So for example, on a virtual day, Mondays, instead of paying 100% of the busing, we would pay 45%, which would cover their employees that, that are part of their fixed costs, their insurances, their rents for the yard, all those type of things that they have, whether they drive buses or not that day.
Okay.
And we'll get into that in a week or so, but that's what the calculation would be. It's 125,000 right now. We haven't paid it, but I'm just tracking it in that encumbrance column because we haven't decided if we want to pay it. Last year, there was some $817,000 we did not pay to Durham for March, April, May, and June, March 13th, April, May, and June. And they are looking for 45% of that, or about $381,000. So in figuring and going with that same 45%, if we do go that route, that 125 is plugged in there as a encumbrance for now. And so I expect that the 170, 274, that's also a positive from not paying buses right now. We haven't paid any buses for days that were closed and stuff. So right now the net would be about $50,000 to the good right now for if we pay them the 45%.
Right.
So the 420 is really the number driving that $500,000 number. Then if you go down through the rest of the report, down the bottom, you'll see that we're showing a positive variance right now of $887,000 on the expense side. And that 381, that's the Durham payment request that that I'm talking about. If we do go that route, I've put that number there to show you what it would do to the budget. And it would bring our expenditures to 505,000 to the good as of this point. And the revenue projection on the front page, 651, we'd have a small shortfall, but that can be taken care of when in fact, and if in fact we're able to successfully issue that lease, that master lease for $500,000. So it's a lot, kind of a lot to go through this in many departments and stuff in the 10, 15 minutes that we spend on this item during the 45-minute meeting. I would welcome anyone who wants to, get on a call with me. We could go through this in detail and all members, but especially new members, if they have questions on, gee, what's that number? That's a big number in this department. What is it? What's in that number? That type of stuff, and
Right.
try to bring people up to speed on the budget. So,
Okay.
feel free to email me if anyone wants to.
Kerry or Dennis, do you have any questions for Alex in regards to this budget report? I know it's a big deal. Dennis, you're muted. There you go.
Yeah, I just have one question. We have obviously more substitute teachers, and I noticed a negative salary-wise. Are we, and Katie may be able to answer this, are we required under the contract anything? Is there certain days they hit where we have to offer benefits? That's something that was also an unforeseen expense?
There's nothing in the contract that requires that, but there's laws that do require it, and there's also laws under in Rhode Island that once a long-term substitute works a certain number of days, they have to be on step and level. So
Is that, are we?
We're not there yet.
We're not there. If we get there though, is that projected in the budget?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. No.
it's not.
Another thing, part of the positive balance we have here, after we, small shortfall, but, certainly within reach of balance in this budget, there's a conservative nature built into the budget as it is. If you look at the various schools, all their supplies show zero all the way through, like they'll spend every dollar. That won't happen. This budget will, in those line items, gets better as the year goes on when we actually know where we are. But I lost my train of thought here for a second. But the couple of items that helped us with this budget was part of that $200,000. We expected to be spending a lot more on PPE, et cetera, and the 636 has helped us. And also the 300 purifiers. The 300 purifiers that the state came up with all of a sudden out of nowhere, we thought we would be buying more than the original 200 we spent. Matter of fact, Mr. DeMonica and Mr. Mitchell were talking about it, I think, when they announced that they were going to give us these purifiers. So that money we're not spending. And also, we have a grant for about $87,000 that came out of really, we didn't know about when we passed our budget for substitutes. So we filed our first report for October, and we got a reimbursement of about $19,000 or whatever, somewhere in that area. We just filed a November report, but once again, it's only good through December. So we probably won't use the entire $87,000 that was made available to us, because you can only charge for a sub that's in for someone who's out sick with COVID. You can't just, someone, out on maternity leave, for example, you can't charge that a sub covering for them for that. It's not a COVID related expense, although it might have been when everyone shut down last year. But anyhow, so there have been some things that have come around here that have helped a little bit that we didn't know about at first, which are helping this budget.
All right, Alex, I don't mean to move you along unless there's any questions. I know we have Shauna Spillane from Sedesco.
And like I said, please
Go ahead.
feel free to contact me, anyone, and we can go over this in great detail.
All right. So we have Shauna Spillane from Sedesco. There is no real big report to give. Shauna, you out there?
I'm here,
I just
Bob.
want the new members of the school committee to, well, there's no picture, but, see who you were and what you're doing for Sedesco Foods. I know for the new members, we've adjusted the guarantee, so to speak, from Sedesco that comes to the school district because of, COVID, kids in, kids out, and so forth. So, Shauna, could you just give a quick, boy, everyone's bothering me here. Give a quick, update in regards to Sedesco Foods, please?
Sure enough. Mike, if you can allow me to show my screen, I have that quick.
All set.
Great, here we go. So for the new members, monthly, we just report out on our standings. And you can see that this spreadsheet contains our numbers, our actual numbers from November. You can see in column F. The top half actually displays our costs for our department. And it breaks it down from product, different controllables, our labor, of course. So for the month of November, we had a total department cost of almost $75,000.
Okay. Shauna, you have a slow mouse. Shauna, you still there? You're muted.
Sorry, I keep clicking the wrong button.
Okay.
So at the bottom of the spreadsheet, you can see the revenues. Again, just to remind everyone that we are on the summer food service feeding program, which the state of Rhode Island and actually most of the districts have enacted this program, which allows all students to not be charged for meals, including breakfast, lunch, and snack. So we do have a higher reimbursement rate from the government. And we have seen an uptick, of course, in those reimbursement rates, which is a good thing for us. As you can see, we compared to October, even though October had about 21 days and November had about 16, you can see that our lunch reimbursements are in line with that. So that's good news. We actually had less days in November, but we're bringing in the same reimbursement and the same breakfast reimbursement. What that means is that we've had an uptick in our meals. A lot of that has to do with obviously our pack outs that we're doing, the take home meals we are sending home to the students for their virtual days, for weekends, for holidays. For Thanksgiving, we did a 5-day pack out per student. So that's really been boosting those numbers. So we've been very creative in also getting those numbers to increase. And again, we're actually supporting families that may be in need, a lot of food insecurity in certain areas of our district that we've been able to support. So again, with our costs and our revenues, we do have a negative for this month of November, which is about 6,000. Again, we're trending in the negative direction. We are hoping to increase that number with more pack outs of meals and less costs for items and labor. But again, it's just a struggle this year without those enrollment numbers. Questions that anybody has for me? I don't want to take up too much time.
I don't have any at this time. Carrie or Dennis, do you have anything? Mike, can you take that off the screen? It's still there. There we go. Thank you. Dennis, Carrie, you have anything in regards to the food service? Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, just one question. I know that the report from last month had a low number of students participating in class when they're in school. And I'm just wondering if that's been on uptick as well, or are we still similar to the numbers that we saw the month before?
Shauna, can you answer that?
Sure. So this is actually just a total dollar amount. It's not our enrollment numbers, but again, with schools being quarantined by pod, or for instance, the high school being shut down today and tomorrow, it's severely decreasing our meal counts. So again, we are kind of trending in a negative way when we do have those closures. But it's something that we're just trying to get those to-go meals out to the students. Of course, we have a virtual pickup for anyone to be able to drive up to, but we do not see a lot of traction at those locations. So we have been sending meals home in person. The student has lunch that day and we send them home with a meal for the next day. Did I answer your question about the spreadsheet?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, Shauna, thank you. I don't want to say keep up the good work, but I mean, I know, what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, very challenging, but I appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alex, do we have we don't have Will here for facilities report, correct? So we'll just move on from facilities. And we'll go directly to, we have some resolutions here that we need to approve tonight. They're basically they're a pass through from the, three of them are from the $83 million bond that is out there. And the way it works is it goes to the building committee, it comes to the school committee for approval, and then it goes to the town council as well for approval. So let's start off on item number 1, which is SCPR 12/2020-19. It's a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a contract with Asbestos Abatement Company of Johnston, Rhode Island for asbestos remediation work at Cumberland High School for an amount not to exceed $13,820. As you're aware, we did have a special meeting on a Friday night in regards to awarding the contract that Colliers International, which is the town and school department's agent, to make sure we get the best price. And we did award that the other night. This is the resolution in regards to that. So I just need a motion to approve SCPR 12/2020-19 so we can actually pay these guys for their work. So I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kerry,
Second.
second by Dennis Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
I have it 3-0 on that resolution to pay that one. Okay, next is another resolution coming from the building committee. SCPR 12/2020-20, a resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee to approve payment to ADS Construction, Inc. for the high school security project, an amount not to exceed $118,381.87. This is work that's being done at the high school. And again, Colliers International is managing the project. And everything has been signed off. I see that the architect and so forth is signed off on the work that's been completed correctly. And I need a motion to approve. I can't hear.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kerry Smith,
Second.
second by Dennis Collins. Any questions in regards to this?
I have just
Again,
one
this is
question.
Go right ahead.
I just want to confirm that the amount that we're paying is aligned with what our budget has been. So,
Yeah, it is. The budget for this job originally was $658,000.
mhm.
There's going to be a change order for the security portion of it that, I don't know if that's been before the committee or not, but it's adding about $30,000 to the project. This had to do with, if you recall,
The
the
China.
Chinese cameras and stuff that we had, and that no security vendor would work on them with fear of being not able to bid on federal jobs and that type of stuff. So we've had to do some type of upgrade there. I know Mike's on. He can get into more detail on it. But this is, to answer your question, in line with what the budget is right now.
I just wanted to make sure we're still aligned. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
So we have a motion by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Nice have it, 3-0. Thank you. Next is another one for the high school for the architect. SCPR 12-2020-21, a resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee approved payments for Toronto Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for the high school security project in an amount not to exceed $12,345.97. We have the invoice from Toronto in regards to the payment, and it's been signed off, and there's 2 of them on the invoices. So again, this is Collier's managing the project to make sure we're doing it correctly. So I need a motion to approve the payment to Toronto Architects.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
I'll second.
second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, should anyone have any questions in regards to it? No, okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Thank you. Next is another, it's the master lease program that's involved. This is going through with the town of Cumberland that Alex Pignano and has been discussing with the mayor. So it's SCPR 12-2020-22, a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a payment for the legal services, the Scheckman, Halperin, and Savage LLP for the town master lease for the school department in an amount not to exceed $5,048.92. This is the first time that that I can tell in my 8 years that the town is having us paid for the cost for the legal services so that the bonds can be executed properly and be sold. So.
Well, I have a couple of things on this,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind. One, on the amount the town has issued an $892,000 master lease. The lease is at $832,000. It was originally $792,000, and if you remember one of the budget meetings, I mentioned adding the $30,000, and the mayor did for to cover the security upgrade
Right.
that we knew we were going to have to do. So the lease is now $832,000. It was originally $792,000. And then this $5,000, if you look at the fiscal note, we are going to have to find this money in our budget. This is traditionally when people do master leases, they build in the cost of issuance into the lease. So if they're going to do a lease for $892,000 and they knew the legal fee is going to be $8,000, they would do the lease for $900,000. The town didn't do that. They issued it just for the amount of the construction costs. And so anything above the actual construction costs, like this type of bill, we're going to have to find in our budget. I was surprised to get this bill.
That's the first time in 8 years. Okay, I need a motion to approve the payment of $5,048.92.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
I'll second.
second by Mrs. Smith. Anyone have any questions in regards to this payment?
I'll just make sure when we move forward with the lease that we're looking to do for technology 518, if that's going to be the send us the legal bill, that we bill that into the lease. So we do 525 or something like that.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 3-0 to make that payment. All right, so next is the Cumberland High School activity reports. As I let the members know, that generally they're filed in the drive for you to look at. And it's basically us collecting the money. So that's the activity reports. Any questions in regards to the activity reports?
And that's basically all the different high school clubs and various activities.
Okay.
Collects
right, next.
funds for, pays checks and that type of stuff.
All right,
Some
next
various
is public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a statement? If you do, please state your name and address for the record. And the school committee has adopted a resolution that your comment would be 3 minutes, please. Mr. Chandler, do you see anyone? I see like 12 people on my screen, but I don't see anyone looking to raise their hand.
Correct. I don't have anybody from the public looking to speak right
Okay.
now.
All right, so we will pass on that, on public comment. There's no one here to speak. Next is adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn the fiscal finance subcommittee meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Right.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. It's 6:19, and we'll see you guys all in fiscal. Thank you, Mr. Pignano, Superintendent.
Okay, see you at the meeting.
Thank
All right.
you.